And can you hear me now?
No.
I think you probably can.
Yes.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're good. Technical difficulties. Let's start over. Um, Welcome to Philosophy. I'm Jennifer Fallaw Doering, your host. And it is Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. And we're going to talk about Jesus tonight. We're going to tell you some stories about my experiences with him. Um, Beautiful experiences with him. And then I talked to him today. I was not in meditation. So, disclaimer. Yes, I talked to Jesus, and everybody else can too. Um, it's called prayer, but you just listen and hear answers in your head. So I got some interesting information today from him, and I was about Easter and about the crucifixion and what happened after that. And it's not exactly what they teach in Catholic school. I'll tell you what. Somewhere along the way, somebody got a hold of our information and changed it enough to suit. And now, I am not very versed in the Bible. I couldn't quote scripture to you. I don't know when different people died or if any of this matches up. So if it doesn't match up, then what do I know? Anyway, but here's what I'm just going to let you know what I got. That's what I'm going to do. And so busy day, talking to Jesus, making the meal, running around all day long. You work, it's like you work like 48 hours to prepare for an event. Everybody eats it 20 minutes and they're done. So kind of tired, but as I was getting ready for the show today, I was talking to Jesus and I asked him, did you really die on the cross? And he said, yes, I did die. I did die. And they put me in, it was more like a cave with big rock. And he said he did die up there. They took him down. They put him in the tomb. And he laid there for 3 days. During that time, we've been told that he ascended into hell and then ascended into heaven. He said he went straight to heaven. And if it never made sense to me. That you don't hear a lot of stories about people going straight to hell and then going to heaven. It's kind of like either or. And a lot of people say that's because of Jesus, but why would Jesus have to go down there? But he only had to go there for 3 days because he didn't have very many sins. That sounds like humans. And I asked him, I said, well, why would they tell us, that you go there first and then you go up? And he said, to make you believe that you're bad. And I'm like, well, me and all the other conspiracy theorists, it makes a lot of sense to us right now. I didn't used to think that way, but that makes a lot of sense now. Then this is interesting. He used a term, which is something that Archangel Michael gave to me a while ago, to explain the process that angels go through. Like when someone is saved from a car accident, an angel comes from the other dimension, comes into ours, solid as can be, moves whatever it is out of the way, saves them, and then goes back. Many, many stories you hear about it. People showing up, they're just there, and some guy helped me, and now he's gone. That is called transdimensionalization. Big word. I got in meditation from Michael a long time ago, and at the time, he was trying to tell me that it is possible for a solid object to move from one dimension to another, like a wedding ring on someone who passed away, or have something show up that belonged to somebody else. There's a lot of stories about that when someone passes away in this dimension. So transdimensionalization is where, okay, you're solid on the other side, dematerialize, solid here, dematerialize, you're back on the other side. And I asked Jesus, I said, so if you died on the cross and went straight to heaven, then what happened? Because somehow you got back up. And he said, transdimensionalization. So what he said, grain of salt here, okay? A little nervous about telling everybody this. I'm just going to throw it out there. He said that he died, went home, came back, transdimensionalization, to his body, healed it, massive amount of healing there, went back, woke up in his body. So, real quick, like, came here solid, healed the body, his body, went back, and then the body wakes up, the soul comes back into the body. Now, I think there were reports of him being seen with the hole still in his hands, but healed. And that makes sense. Because if he had come and healed the body, there would have been some kind of mark. There would have been some kind of scar, or the hole's still there. So that's very interesting. So then there were people outside the tomb. Now, this is why I was hesitant to say anything, because I'm not real schooled in the Bible. I was raised Catholic, but, kind of half-assed Catholic, and wasn't a very good student. Just like kind of, oh, that's boring, kind of stuff. Kids, teenagers, they don't really care. And so he left this tomb. He said Peter and Paul came and got him and took him away. Peter and Paul. And I'm like, I don't know if that's right. I don't know if I want to say that, because I don't know if, I don't even know their stories really very much at all. And I'm just like, what if I'm wrong? Blah, blah, blah. He kept saying it. He kept saying Peter and Paul came and got me and took me away. There were other people that went with him. Mary Magdalene went with him. And Mary did not. Mary did not go with him, because then he says, well, they'd be able to find me then. I do think she was informed that he was okay, but she was watched, very watched. So Peter and Paul come and get him. There are people outside the tomb. He said in the middle of the night, they take off. And I said, where did you go? Where did you go? And he says they traveled to Cannes, Cannes, Cannes. So I don't know if that's the name of the place then, or if it's the name of the place now, but I looked it up because I didn't know where that was. I'm like, isn't that kind of like, and so I looked it up. It's on the French Riviera. So they were in France. And now Mary Magdalene and a group of people went with them. And so that is where he stayed. He said he died when he was 34 years old. I'm not sure if that's correct. I didn't have a lot of time between Easter dinner and this show to look it up. But he said he died when he was about 34 years old. First, he said he lived to be 43, and then I asked again, he said 47. I really have to go with what I get first. and not question it, because when you start questioning things, that's when you get things wrong. So he lived for another 9 years in France. If anybody knows anything that would, somebody says I knew it. Well, so somebody knows something about that. I've never really looked into it. He did not have children. I asked that specifically. Did you have children? Because I had heard, mumblings about something about that before. And he said no. I said, what about Mary Magdalene? I thought you guys were like, an item. And he said no. Mary Magdalene was with him in Cannes. Yes, Mike. They went in a group. And then more gathered there later. They had what would be kind of like a village or a camp, is what he called it. And people didn't know who he was there except for the people in the camp. So they all lived in this one area together. And all that time, he was teaching them about God and the universe. There were many books that were written. And this pisses me off a little bit, okay? Because he said there's many books that were written. And they were suppressed by the they were hidden first, and he said they really didn't come out for like centuries. I need to go get more information on that. I didn't have a lot of time, but they have been hidden all this time in the Vatican. Mary Magdalene and him, I said, well, why didn't you have children? And he said, well, I lived a life of celibacy. And I said, why? And he said, because they viewed him as the Lord. And Mary Magdalene at the time felt that it would be an unholy act to do something like that with the Lord. And so they fully understood who he was and all of that. And it was treated with a lot of respect. And so nobody wanted to do anything like that. They actually just all kind of lived together. And he taught them many, many things. I don't know if Peter and Paul were there. I think they came and got him. I don't know if they stayed with him. I didn't ask that, but he eventually died. All right, he said, what was it, 43? He said he had died of stomach issues. And I said, why? Why didn't you just heal yourself again? He said, I wanted to go home. It was time to go home. And so he was supposed to be there for a certain amount of time. And he let himself die. He was done. He had taught what he was going to teach. And somewhere, these writings exist and have been held back from us to keep that information from us. And so we've got his birth, information about his birth. And then, a little bit of time around his crucifixion. Nothing in between. And then he did rise from the dead. He did die on the cross. I asked about the Bible a long time ago when I first started these meditations, because I don't want to do anything that's not divine. I don't want to do anything against, loving God and Jesus, his angels. And I'm all about that. I'm not about blasphemy and all that crap. I'm about finding the truth. But, so I asked a long time ago, I said, well, what about the Bible? I don't remember exactly what I was asking at the time. I would think I was asking about good references for advancing spiritually and things like that. And he said, that is not, Jesus told me that is not I can't remember the words used, but a good source, not accurate source of information. I said, what? That's supposed to be the word. You follow the word. And he said, well, the word has been changed. I said, well, he says, but the truth is in there. We would not allow the core truth of what has remained to be altered completely. So, I have seen the Annunciation. I actually went there on accident. Well, Gabriel took me there. I went into meditation one time years and years ago. And I didn't have anything to talk about. It was just there. I said, I want to show you something. I said, okay. So he actually picked me up and flew me there, which in the beginning, that's how we would travel because I didn't really know how to do it. And so I just, I'm looking around, and it was real quick, but I looked down and, it's a long story, but I saw the scene. It was, it was pretty, it was like dirt. And then you had almost like sage scrub kind of bushes, olive tree looking kind of bushes. Not a lot of them up on this hill. Up on this hill, it flattened out. And you could see there was carts and things being pulled around and people water bottles on their head and stuff. And I looked off this way, and down in the valley is where it was green. And you could tell that's where they were getting their water. There was an apartment kind of very, it was an apartment looking kind of structure that looked like it was dirt or stone and part of the hill. It kind of went up like this. And Mary, I didn't know I was going. We go into one of these dwellings, and you could see the sun coming through, almost like these boards or kind of like a thatched kind of roof. And there was a room over here with no doors or anything. It was just really, it almost looked like, excuse me, it almost looked like just dirt dwellings or adobe, but very sandy colored. No, dirt floor. This girl comes out of the room. And over here I can see some activity. It's very dark in there, except for the light that's coming through. There were people over here in the corner where most of the light was coming through, and I think they were cooking. And Gabriel's standing right here. Excuse me, allergies. Gabriel's standing right next to me, and I'm just standing there like an idiot, oh, this is boring. I have no idea what's going on. And this girl walks over, and Gabriel says something. She's holding this roundish flat, it's almost like a basket. Just little round balls in it. So I don't know if it was bread or fruit. But she turned around and she looked at him, and she dropped to her knees and dropped the basket and dropped to her knees, and she is on both knees, and she's just with her mouth open, just looking up, and she's nodding. And I could tell that he's talking to her. And the first visit, I'm so stupid. The first visit, I'm like, oh, well, he's talking to somebody. I think I'll go outside and take a look around. So I go to the door, and I look out in the courtyard, and I see the people moving around. So we went to the exact time and saw exactly what was happening at that time. And I'm standing at the door thinking, and you could see where this beam came through to hold the door up, but it was real rustic, and it kind of had almost adobe over it. And in the middle of the square, there was quite a bit of activity. And there's something blocking my view right here, and I don't know what that was. Um, so I turn around and I go back in, and the mother had come over, and she's like, "What are you doing? You've dropped the bread." So the mother didn't see Gabriel, but Mary did. So we're done. We leave. We go back to the 6th level of heaven where I started, and he doesn't say anything else. And I'm like, okay, so like 3 years later, for I don't know why, what triggered it, but all of a sudden, like, I'm serious, like 3 years later, I'm like, oh my God, I know what that was. And so I go back into meditation. I go, take me back. Take me back. And in this next visit, I don't know if there's information in, I don't know if I want to share, but I was looking at it from a different view. I was standing behind Mary this time. And oh my God, if I would have saw what she saw, I would have done the same damn thing. There's no way. I mean, because I looked at Gabriel, so it's dark in there, okay? I mean, it's almost like I looked at him, and the way he looked, you should have been afraid. But there's so much love coming out of him, you're not afraid. But that was kind of scary. I mean, first of all, he's like 7.5 feet tall. He's like He-Man big. And when he was looking down at her, his eyes were like glowing. There's like this glowing coming out of him. And I swear to God, if that was me, I'd be like, yes, I will have a baby. Sure. Yeah, fine. But she was told. And I saw that. And it was the same scene. The mother comes running by, and what are you doing? And why are you freaking out? Why are you kneeling? And what's interesting? I don't know if I was seeing it through the eyes of the other angels. I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you what I saw. When I saw it from the other direction, there was this big white woman angel. I mean, all white, standing next to him, and did the exact same thing that I did. She went to the door. She looked out. But what she was doing was standing guard while he did that. And so that's interesting. So this time I was viewing as me. And so I really don't know if the first time I was seeing what she experienced. But Mary was his mother, and she was visited by him, because 3 years later I clued into what he showed me. It wasn't like, hey, show me the Annunciation and I make it all up in my head. It was just like amazing. And now whether it was a virgin birth, I don't know. I don't really think it matters, because I know pretty rare for a mother to be visited by an archangel with his eyes glowing and fall to her knees and agree to whatever he wants when they're going to have a baby. Yeah, that never happens. And that happened. So he was Jesus Christ. And he's very real now, and he always has been. I would like to know what he did, in the middle time, and I would like to know, I want to know those teachings from after. Because I think his work wasn't done. There was a lot more that he taught to these people that were with him. And those books were buried or hidden or something, because they were on the run. They were all hiding. But it was in France. Because I didn't really know. I had heard the name Canes before. That is not something that I would have said. I had to look it up to figure out where it was. So if that matches up with anything you know, let me know. But, as far as having children, he said no, because he was treated as the Lord fully, and that would have been a no-no. I mean, just in our little way with like the priests in the church or something. If anybody's Catholic around here, you don't go up like, hey, you don't do that. You don't do that. So think about Jesus, and everybody knows he's Jesus. And, Mary Magdalene's like, want to have some kids? And she's not going to do that. So he really did live as Jesus and taught until he passed away. So I thought that was interesting today. So you can pair that up with any other theories that you heard. As far as I know, Dave Vera is asking, did he go back and meet up with his disciples, or did he leave right away? He's saying they left right away, dead of night. There was no time. People were notified later where to go, and then just gravitated out and ended up in their camp. Certain people were not allowed to go because they were being watched. So I think these were probably the lesser known disciples. There were probably a few. Okay, Peter and Paul went, they had to leave after that because he's saying, well, put the rest in danger. So they really were on the run. They were trying to stay anonymous and just live. So no bloodline. I feel disappointed. He's saying bloodlines make no difference. When you're all children of God. It makes no difference. He says bloodlines only determine your characteristics, your features, the way your body grows, the way it'll look. They have no significance in the eyes of God, he said. So, Mike wants to know, was 3 really darkness when he passed on the cross, an eclipse? Oh, was there really darkness? I don't know. Let me ask. It was a partial eclipse. He says everything's kind of been exaggerated over time, but it was like a partial eclipse. Let's see, did he, as a teenager? Oh, somebody's talking about his lost years as a teenager. I don't know what happened to Judas. I didn't ask all those questions. I could do shows on those if you guys want. You can always send me an email. I'm a little frazzled today after all the Easter stuff, but just send me an email to jenniferfallaw.com and give me show ideas, and I can do meditation on it. Some of these things I'm just really going to have to go in. But I want to now switch over to something that Jesus taught me years ago. I was actually, believe it or not, I was teaching 3rd grade Catholic, the catechism classes, because you put your kids in there and they're like, oh yeah, would you like to do third grade? Would you like to? They're always trying to get somebody to volunteer. So they asked me, and I'm like, well, I'm not very schooled, I don't know. And she said, well, just let the Spirit move you. And, you're going to, third grade is teaching the kids how to be good disciples. I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, if they knew that I was over here talking to angels and all this stuff, they'd kick me right out of there. But I had the best time. We all had the best time. I would just teach them their profession of faith and stuff, and then I would teach them little things like this. We talked about, every year, Jesus taught me one time about forgiveness. This is something that I struggled with. It's like I would forgive people, but then I carried it. I just felt, and then I had, my husband's killed by a drunk driver, my first husband. That was a hard one. I'm not going to tell you I fully forgave that dude. I'm sorry. I'm probably not that good. Okay. Still working on that. But, everyday stuff. He explained it this way. When I asked about sin and forgiveness, he said, forgiveness is more for you than it is for them. And he described a story about a person wearing a backpack on their back. And every time someone wronged them, and you could do this with we do it with pains and loss and things like that. Every time somebody wronged him, he would put another stone in the backpack. And over time, the backpack became very heavy. But he wasn't ready to let them go. He accumulated these stones and made his path and journey heavy when the other person that he could have given forgiveness to was walking with a light step. So the guy figured, well, let's say Jesus talked to him. I'm trying to remember the story he told me. It's years ago. I've been telling this for years. So let's say Jesus talked to the man, and he said, why don't you let me carry that pack for you? And he said, no, I can't let these go. It's not right what they did to me. It's not okay what they did to me. So I have to carry them. I have to carry these resentments. And Jesus talked to him, and he told him, forgiveness is not a gift to them. It's a gift to you. It's alleviating this heavy burden that you're carrying. Give them to me, and I will carry it for you. And so the man gave him one. And soon Jesus had 2 rocks in his hand. And he said, I gave you one. Why do you have 2? He said, it's from the man you forgave. So it's a twofold thing. Forgiving someone is not about telling them that it didn't matter, or that it didn't hurt, or that it was okay. It's not letting them off the hook to do it again. It's one by one, allowing yourself to let it go and to free yourself from this heavy pack that wears you down. Because sooner or later, a long way down that road, that pack may become too heavy. So if you're struggling with forgiving somebody, it really is for you. Deciding, I forgive you. It should be more like saying, I release you and I release me. Because if you're carrying their rocks, they're still weighing you down. They're still holding you down. They still have control over your life. They may be off running around free as a bird, not thinking about it anymore. You're still carrying this big ass stone on your back. So it really is best for you to say, acknowledge that it hurt, acknowledge what it did, but I am going to free myself from this burden so that I can walk on and be better. And that's what forgiveness is. Most forgiveness is forgiving yourself, is releasing yourself from the pain and the worry and the sadness and the grief of that situation and moving forward. It's allowing yourself to move forward. That's why it's such a wonderful thing. The angels have said, Gabriel, his teachings are so perfect. Treats me like a child, and I appreciate that because he's so wise and I'm not. And so, like, when he teaches me something, it's very simple. And so what he'll do to me sometimes when I'm just, over the years, when I've been so burdened down with emotion or sadness or grief or stress, he'll go like this. And I'm supposed to come and put my hands, like grasp his hands, and we stand like this. And he'll say, give it to me. I'm like, no, I don't want you to feel stressed and bad and angry and all that stuff. He goes, no, give it to me and I'll get rid of it. And it's hard to give it to him because you have to release it. You have to say, I'm done with this. You have to say, that's it. I'm done obsessing. I'm done fighting in my mind. I'm done with it. And trust that everything will be okay. Yeah, you're going to do everything you're supposed to do anyway. But trust that everything will be okay. But it really does help when somebody stands there and says, give it to me. So that's what forgiveness is a lot of the times. When you ask God for forgiveness, you ask Jesus, please forgive me for what I've done in the past. They already have. They were with you the whole time. And most of the time, your intentions were not to do anything wrong. And if they were, you've learned from it, you're regretful. They probably already have. And it's you that needs to forgive you. And some of them are hard. They don't deserve my forgiveness. They don't deserve to be free from this. They don't deserve anything like that. No. But as long as you're holding a grudge, you're still tied to them. They're still hurting you. So it's more about saying, you don't have any power over me anymore. I'm done. I'm releasing this. I forgive myself for even being a part of it. I forgive you. Now you have no power over me. I'm free. And I think a lot of Jesus' teachings were telling us those kinds of things. Like, turn the other cheek. That's a hard one. That is a hard one for me. And I never got that. Love your neighbors. Love your enemies. I never got that either. So I grew up and I learned some things. And until I started doing the house cleansings, until I could get to the point where I could see these things. And I watched how the angels react. There is no hesitation when they remove something. They don't talk to it. They do not engage with the enemy. There's no emotion. It's just action. And allowing, when you turn the other cheek, you're not giving the dark side any power. What they want to do is engage you. You see people all over the internet all the time. They're baiting you. They jump on a post and shouldn't even be there and say something so outrageous, and they get you to respond. They're starting a fight. They're trying to fight with you. You diffuse the entire situation by ignoring them. I used to think it was weak to love your enemies too, because it doesn't mean, oh, I love you, enemy, you're so great for her. No. You push love at your enemies. Highly annoying, by the way, to any kind of attachment, dark side, bad guy, whatever. Highly annoying. The worst punishment really a lot of times is silence, and you all know that. Because they don't get a chance to fight you. They don't get a chance to hurt you. They don't get the chance to say those things or do those things that's going to get under your skin. So do not engage with the enemy. You turn the other cheek. Be above it. Most of the time you can do that. Unless you have to act. Sometimes we got to do some things. But I'm starting to understand as I get older these things a lot better. And I wanted to kind of pass that on to you. Another thing that Jesus taught me, he's so loving. Oh my goodness. That's why you guys say take these interdimensional meditation classes so you go talk to him like I do. Change your entire life. If you're not into talking to Jesus, go talk to the angels. Go talk to God. There's no reason why you can't. Who would want you not to believe? Who would want you to believe that you can't? Bad guys. Think about that. I remember. I'm not really good at going to church a lot. So there's times when I would go, I would miss a long period of time with the kids, and then I go back. And I remember, you can't go up to communion if you haven't gone to confession, and that's the way I was raised. I don't know if that's even the rule anymore, but you have to go to confession if you miss church, and you can't go up and get receive communion. So, which doesn't make any sense. It totally sounds man-made. Totally sounds man-made. Anyway, but so one time I'm sitting there, and I sent the girls up, and I'm sitting there, and this is when I was widowed and I was alone, and I was like thinking, I'm like, and for some reason I just wanted to go up there. It was important to me, and so I'm talking to Jesus in my head. And I said, Jesus, I don't know. Is it bad if I go up there? I haven't been to church in a while. I mean, like months, like a long time. And he said, never refrain from coming to me. And if you think about it, you think about the stories of people coming from all around. The stories that I've told, like the first time I saw Jesus in meditation, and I've seen people do this in the healing room when you call the soul in, when I do these healings, you kind of touch them on the head and it showers them in grace, and they turn around and they see Jesus there, and they just, everybody does the same thing. They all fall to their knees. I remember when I did that, I see him do it with everyone. He picks them up, and he says, don't do that. stand with me, walk with me. And he told me, this creates separation. I don't want any separation. And I'm thinking, okay, I won't do that. And so, it really is with God, with the angels, with Jesus. Bottom line is the oneness and the love. We diffuse the evil. We don't give it any power. And this thing with forgiveness, it is so healing. It really is. And what a wonderful thing, and I think a long time ago, they came up with the concept of going in and asking for forgiveness, because people were taught that they are so unworthy, such sinners, and then they're like, well, this baby was just born. How could it be a sinner? Oh, they're all born with sin, and so it's like, well, because of Adam and Eve, it's Eve's fault, and I'm thinking, that's crazy. It just never made any sense to me. It could be blasphemy. Everybody just shoot me. But I'm just saying what I've experienced from what I do. Going into meditation, like walking into a dream, standing there with Jesus and God and the angels, you can go up to him, God, angels, and just say, I'm just such a loser. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. And it's about your intentions. They know your intentions. They don't turn anybody away. So this whole concept, maybe I'm ignorant, but this whole concept about Jesus having to go to hell for 3 days, we're talking about Jesus. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. It's pretty good, I'd say. He said he didn't go. So I think his teachings when he came here, bottom line, was interesting that is going on today, is to diffuse all the dogma and the wrong teachings from man, the programming of man. So today is Easter. Put 2 and 2 together. We've got a lot of that going on right now. It sounds like a new beginning to me. That's the symbol of the egg, the Easter egg. It's new beginnings. Jesus rose again to a new beginning. He did rise again. And I don't know what to call these books that were hidden. I don't know if anybody has looked into this or researched this. Maybe you know. But from what I know, in recent years, they have been in the Vatican. And I kind of feel like they're not there anymore. So maybe we'll see them. Maybe we won't. But if you start, I think we really just need to start breaking down all these labels that we have for ourselves, these badges that we wear, these rocks in our backpack, everything that we drag around with us, as something we constantly have to overcome. And the fact of the matter is that, if there's somebody you need to make amends with, do it. Get it done. Be done with it. Be free to move forward, to start a new beginning now. Because it's not worth it. Everybody talks about, okay, someday you go home and you're judged. Well, from what I've seen, I actually went to the viewing room in meditation. From what I've seen, you're the one who judges you. And you do it when you go home, on the third level of heaven, actually. And just a side note, if anybody hasn't heard, it's a radio series. Over the years, several times, I've done the Exploration of the Levels of Heaven series through interdimensional meditation, where I went to the first 7 levels of heaven. I think they're probably the only ones I could get to without exploding. 7 was hard. And I explored them. I went back several times. And there is a free radio series on jenniferfallaw.com, 1 through 7. You can go and listen to right now. It's you just go to jenniferfallaw.com and hit the 3 little bars for more, 3 little dots, and you'll see the Level of Heaven series. I am going to do that again for philosophy, and then it'll be a book. I probably have to go back 3 or 4 more times to each level, get more information. But sometime within the next year, I'm going to do it again and going back and explore more each level. But if you go and listen to these, it really makes a lot of sense. And on level 3, I think that's where I explained it, what I saw from this viewing machine. It's almost like there's this thing in the middle of this room, and it doesn't look like an enclosed room, really. But it's almost like you're viewing your life, and this is something that could, like in our time span, would seem like, you do it for 100 years. You go back in and out of something. And when somebody's doing that, they refer to them as in review. It's interesting, but it's not like a punishment. If something's too hard to review, you don't have to. It's all up to you. But what we do is we go back and look at our past incarnation, the one we just came out of, to see if we accomplished what we accomplished. You actually see everything from everybody's side, how you affected this person. So, and you're in a state where it's just a higher level of understanding. It's not one-sided at all. And that's your judgment. So at the core of everything, the core of Jesus' teachings was to teach people that they're not insignificant, and they are loved, and they are God, and the kingdom of heaven is within you and around you and still part of you. And baptism was a wonderful thing, and I still have to look into that a little bit more. What a wonderful concept to take somebody and put them in the water, and because if they believe, no, I can't, God won't accept me, I'm just too bad, I'm too terrible, I've done so wrong, I'm a peasant, I'm too lowly bloodlines. See? What makes this person better than that one? Their money? You don't take that with you. It's the goodness in your heart. It's your intentions. And so what a wonderful thing to take somebody into the river and just bathe them in the water and bring them back up and say, now it's okay to know that you're loved. We've taken it away. Gabriel with his give it to me. Jesus with his forgiveness. All these things that are trying to tell us to open our eyes. It's interesting. If we could really get a hold of his teachings, could it kind of parallel what's going on right now with the Great Awakening? Opening our eyes to the untruths, and helping us remember who we really are, and what's really most important is the love at the base of everything. Jesus told me one time, because I was being a brat and I was having a hard time, and you'll do this if you're taking the classes. The next interdimensional class is mediumship, and oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome, because I went into meditation today so that I would have a scene to tell you about. you are not going to want to miss this information that I'm going to give out in the class tomorrow. Totally awesome. So if you want to take the class, you can start with class 3. You'll want to go back and take 1 and 2. But you can go to jenniferfallaw.com right now. Sign up. It's tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be just like this with me and Mike Barra. And I'm going to teach you how to do what I do. But the mediumship part is going to go see your loved ones in heaven where they are. And that's what I did today. But first and foremost, I forgot what I was going to say, but first and foremost, everything that I have experienced, so people ask me, how do you know they're not bad guys that you're talking to when you're doing this? How do you know that's not evil? Because everything that I have witnessed is positive and loving. Evil they can try to fake love, but they cannot maintain the facade for long. And the amount of love that I have witnessed in the healings from God, Jesus, from the angels, loved ones on the other side is more than I could even explain. And that's why people can't turn me. You can't convince me that it's not real. And today, the experience I had today in meditation for the class tomorrow, I went to see my loved ones and I saw them all, and they all knew I was coming. And I hadn't even decided what I was going to do till a couple minutes before. It was written into my plan to do that on that day. Sooner or later, evil trips over its own feet. And I've never seen anybody trip in this kind of work that I do in meditation. It's all been loving, all for the highest good, all unselfish. And I am a pain in the ass, okay? I will go in there and ask the same darn questions that I have asked over and over again. Because, I'm human. I'm dealing with my own stuff over here, oh my God, are the kids going to be okay? Or, just so many insecurity things. And I have never been met with, oh, you are so annoying, or I'm not going to answer that, or it's always just they always answer my questions. They always give me the best teaching. They always bring me back around, pull me up, and they will always say something I wasn't expecting or talk over my thoughts. And when that happens, I'm like, well, I didn't put that in their mouth. So, bottom line here, getting late, getting tired. But Jesus is real. He did live. Mary was his mother. Gabriel did come and see him. He did rise from the dead, and he was crucified. But he rose again, and he lived. And then he went home when he was done. And I believe him. I believe him. And so if anybody has any interesting information that would match up with that, I would love to hear it. You can go to jenniferfallaw.com and send me an email. One day I'll do the Annunciation story in full detail. I'm gonna revisit all of my. I've done radio for a long time, and they are all available at beaconoflightradio.com on. There's playlists, and I also on jenniferfallaw.com I have a playlist of all the radio shows I've done as well for Beacon Light Radio. But go and listen to the Levels of Heaven series. It's very interesting. So heaven is absolutely real. And I hope that you all find your way to a place where your faith takes you to a place of knowing and not just belief. Because when you're in a place of knowing, nobody can take that away from you. You're just kind of like, well, I'm on vacation here or some kind of mission or something, but I know where I'm going, and I am never alone. And that's a wonderful way to live. And so God bless you all, especially on Easter. We'll find out if anything interesting happened today. I was thinking there was something about Easter going to happen, but I have no idea. I've been too busy in the kitchen and preparing for the show. This next week's pretty busy. I got the class on Monday night. If you have not signed up, you should sign up. Go to jenniferfallaw.com, first page. If you want class 1 and 2, you can get them right now and start learning how to do that and do what I do. Okay, guys, I love you all. Thank you for listening, and keep looking out for the next philosophy. God bless.